late 1980s, Manhattan's Lower East Side was known as an easy place to score drugs and sex. Prostitutes worked right in the open, turning $20 tricks for quick drug money along certain streets known as strolls.
A stroll is where prostitutes ply their trade, where they're known to congregate, and the Johns can find them and do their business and get picked up.
But one of those Johns was after more than cheap sex. He was out for blood.
Tragedy happens in lives. Unfortunately, it was their lives.
The world wouldn't know his name until after his killing spree had ended. Now, in a rare prison interview, serial killer Joel Rifkin talks about his sickening crimes down to the smallest detail.
I remember while I was strangling in the truck, she had boots on. She was kicking the driver's side door during this whole thing.
Over a 4-year period, the sadistic killer patronized hundreds of New York City prostitutes. He strangled 17 of them with his bare hands.
Why those 17 beats me.
He discarded their bodies in remote areas or dumped them into local rivers. Some he dismembered.
Cutting up a body, yeah, it's grotesque and repugnant to most people, but it's at a level less than the actual killing.
No one knew about his cold-blooded killing spree. Not the police, not the press, not the public, not even the prostitutes themselves.
People in that environment almost go virtually unreported and slip through the cracks.
22-year-old Tiffany Bresciani was his last victim.
She was just very happy and beautiful and loved people.
Tiffany had moved from Louisiana to New York to become an actress or a dancer. But instead of finding Broadway's bright lights, the city's dark side got her first. To support a drug addiction, she turned to prostitution.
I still have that heartache, you know, it never goes away. There's that empty feeling sometimes, you know, without her.
In spite of her troubles, Tiffany remained in close touch with her mother. But in June of 1993, she stopped calling home.
She'd call about 3 times a week, you know. We really kept in touch that week that it happened. I said, did she call yet? And I had the most awful feeling.
What happened to Tiffany might never have been discovered if not for Trooper Sean Ruane of the New York State Police Department. Early in the morning of June 28th, Ruane was patrolling Long Island's Southern State Parkway when a pickup truck caught his attention.
I observed a tan Mazda pickup truck with no license plate on the back. We decided to pull the vehicle over.
Instead, the driver took off.
We're in pursuit of a vehicle, failure to comply. It's not high speed or anything, it's just failure to comply.
But before long, Ruane was going nearly 100 miles per hour, trying to keep up with the truck as it sped through Nassau County. Barreling through stop signs and around corners, the driver seemed willing to do anything to get away.
The vehicle actually went up onto 2 wheels, and I thought it was going to actually roll over. Lucky for him, it landed back on 4 wheels.
After a frantic half-hour pursuit, the driver's luck ran out when he crashed into a streetlight.
I ran up to the driver's side of his car, opened the door. He happened to be sitting in the driver's seat with his hands up like this, basically giving up. Very kind of casual, actually.
As Ruane began inspecting the vehicle, he caught a whiff of something evil, a telltale odor almost every police officer knows.
It appeared to be the odor of decaying flesh.
In the back of the pickup, Ruane discovered a blue tarp and the horrifying secret it concealed.
It appeared as if someone was just rolled up in like a blanket, and upon pulling back the tarp, we realized that there was a deceased subject in the car. I was never expecting that.
The grisly find was radioed back to headquarters.
Expired cadaver inside a plastic bag, a body inside a plastic bag in the back of the truck.
Then the suspect's identity was revealed.
White male, last name Rifkin, first name Joel, date of birth 012059.
34-year-old Joel Rifkin remained oddly calm at the scene, even while he and Ruane were sitting in the patrol car waiting for homicide investigators to arrive.
He actually thanked me for turning on the air conditioning and said, you know, thank you for turning on the air conditioning because I know where I'm going. I'm not going to have that.
Rifkin was taken to police headquarters in East Farmingdale, where detectives began interrogating him. From the start, he was cooperative.
He admitted that he patronized prostitutes quite a bit, and that the body in his trunk was a prostitute, in fact, that he had patronized and had strangled while having sex with her.
The victim was Tiffany Bresciani. Rifkin told investigators he had picked her up on Manhattan's Lower East Side.
That was someone I met in the city, and things didn't go well.
After killing her, he drove her body to his mother's house and stored it in the garage for 3 days before trying to dispose of it.
Pretty unusual. We never thought that somebody could do something like that. We've been around decaying bodies before, and it's a pretty disgusting smell. And for him to drive around with it, it just was unbelievable.
That wasn't the only unbelievable thing about Rifkin. The detectives were amazed at his icy calm composure.
He was very cool, emotionally detached. It appeared that he wasn't concerned about this at all. I had a feeling that he had done this before.
Under questioning, Rifkin filled in more details about his life. He worked as a landscaper on Long Island, but was unemployed at the time. He lived in his childhood home with his mother and sister. But investigators sensed there was more, much more, to Joel Rifkin's story.
Well, what I thought unusual is that here's a fellow that looks like he could be your next door neighbor, and then go out at night, pick up a girl and strangle her, kill her, and then dispose of the body, almost like it came like second nature.
The detectives followed their hunch and asked Rifkin if there were other victims.
I figured, you know, there was no point in being evasive. I gave him the whole thing.
What Rifkin gave was more than anyone imagined. A confession that turned a down-and-out landscaper from Long Island into the worst serial killer in New York State history. At police headquarters, Joel Rifkin was playing a cat-and-mouse game with detectives. The 34-year-old unemployed gardener just confessed to the murder of Tiffany Bresciani, whose body was found in the back of his truck. But investigators believe there was more to the story. 7 hours into the grilling, Rifkin began to crack.
They were wearing me down. It was already getting into afternoon. I'm tired. It's just, didn't sleep the night before. They're very good at what they do. They know how to bring you to the edge and then take you back and then bring you back to the edge again.
The detectives wanted to know how many other women he had killed.
And then they decided to play a numbers game with me.
And we asked him, like, how many have you done, 100 or so?
And he said, no, I did not do it 100 times.
I came out with more than one, less than 20.
And going through different numbers, he said 17. He gave us the number 17.
Even to such seasoned homicide detectives, the number was a shock.
When that number came out, I was taken aback a little bit. He fed off of that. I think he fed off of, listen, what I've done 17, and you guys are just catching me now.
He offered to draw the skeptical detectives a map showing where he had put 2 other victims.
I think they were very surprised. Finally, just, hand me a map and a couple of pens and, I'll draw you pictures. So I did.
Rifkin's map led police to a remote part of JFK Airport where they found a skeleton beneath a rotting mattress. It was the remains of 25-year-old Iris Sanchez, whom Rifkin murdered on Mother's Day in 1992.
This one happened incredibly fast. This was, of all the girls, the fastest.
The other body was also where the map indicated, just off the highway in the Hamptons. It belonged to 28-year-old Lauren Marquez, a mother of 2 from Tennessee.
I just basically leaned over her and grabbed her neck.
We were able to recover at least 2 bodies that had not been discovered before. So that pretty much put him in the realm of being believable.
Now, with 3 confirmed bodies to his deadly resume, the detectives understood who they had captured. Not just